Impressionism was an artistic movement during the 19th century that was centered in Paris and characterized by artists' use of short, visible brushstrokes, emphasis on the changing qualities of light, strong colors, ordinary subjects and landscapes, the inclusion of movement as part of perception, and unusual visual angles. The term Impressionism originated from a work by Claude Monet, Impression Soleil Levant, which was his impression of the sunrise. The term Impressionism was originally used as a derogatory term by critics who ridiculed them for not using the traditional artistic techniques that were popular at the time. The artwork was the artist's impression, not reality. Impressionists who contributed to the movement included Camille Pissarro, Edouard Manet, Edgar Degas, Paul Cézanne, Alfred Sisley, Claude Monet, Frédéric Bazille, Pierre-Auguste Renoir, Berthe Morisot, Armand Guillaume, Mary Cassatt, and Gustave Caillebotte. Now for a quick rundown of all of these wonderful artists and the most important things that distinguish them from each other. Camille Pissarro contributed to both Impressionism and Post-Impressionism, and was seen as a father figure to many artists, since he was an old man. As seen in Boulevard Montmartre, he mostly painted normal life. Edouard Manet was part of the transition between realism and Impressionism. He had many scandalous paintings, including The Luncheon on the Grass, which was controversial because of the clothed versus non-clothed people in the painting. Edgar Degas was originally a history painter, but later expanded to Impressionism, preferring to be called a realist. His subjects were mostly dancers, as seen in The Dance Class, and he also painted jockeys and horses. Paul Cézanne painted many serious paintings and dead nature. He also did portraits and self-portraits, like Self-Portrait. He was the bridge between Impressionism and Cubism, and was called the father of us all by Matisse and Picasso. One of his still lifes of dead nature is Still Life, Drapery, Picture, and Fruit Bowl. Alfred Sisley was an English impressionistic landscape painter who spent most of his life in France. He consistently painted en plein air, as seen in Bridge at Hampton Court. Claude Monet was the artist who gave the Impressionist movement its name. His favorite subjects to paint were objects at different hours of the day, and he is best known for his water lilies. Frédéric Bazille was a good friend of Claude Monet. He didn't contribute an incredible amount to the movement because he died very young in the Franco-Prussian War. His works, such as The Pink Dress, were often characterized by the figure within a landscape and plein air. Pierre-Auguste Renoir made portraits of his friends, like in Portrait of Claude Monet, and other people. He celebrated beauty and feminine sensuality, as seen in his painting Girl Braiding Her Hair and his nude paintings. He also painted pottery. Berthe Morisot was actually accepted in the Salon de Paris, but chose to join the Impressionists in the Salon de Refusé. Her subjects, as seen in her work The Cradle, were usually of mothers and their children. An interesting fact about her is that she became Edouard Manet's sister-in-law when she married his brother Eugène. Armand Guillaume is the least known of the Impressionists. He was friendly with Cézanne and Pissarro, and is well known for his use of strong and lively colors in landscape paintings like Sunset at Ivry. Mary Cassatt was an American in Paris who favored painting everyday life. She befriended Edgar Degas, and her subjects, as seen in her painting The Tea, were usually women. Gustave Caillebotte painted mainly realistic scenes of city life, many as seen from a balcony, like in his work Jeune homme à la fenêtre, bringing in an interesting perspective. By the 1800s, after a series of successful exhibitions in Paris, the Impressionist movement began to fragment. Some members, the purists like Monet, preferred to focus almost exclusively on the study of light. Others, like Pissarro and Sisley, continued painting plein-air landscapes, but without Monet's ideological fervor. Renoir traveled and focused on figurative works in nature and in the studio. Degas settled on genre studies and other studio work after a period of interest in painting racehorses. Cézanne left Paris, settled in Aix-en-Provence, and focused on his quest to discover natural forms, a task in which he succeeded brilliantly, inspiring Picasso and Braque to develop their early Cubist style of painting. The slightly younger generation of artists experimented more with color and forms of expression, forming the post-Impressionism movement. Impressionism is probably the best loved as well as the single most identifiable style in the history of Western art. Although not as overtly revolutionary as modern art movements such as Cubism, anti-art Dada, or Surrealism, its impact on modern art was enormous. It set entirely new standards for how artists saw and depicted nature, influencing generations of painters. It also paved the way for the new international style of Expressionism. It continues to exert a significant influence on painting, even today.